The U.S. Open Pickleball Championships on CBS Sports Network is sponsored by Latitude Margaritaville and Minto. Change your latitude to the active adult paradise of Latitude Margaritaville. By Paddle Tech, official paddle of the U.S. Open Pickleball Championships. Dick's Sporting Goods. Every season starts at Dick's. And by Naples, Marco Island, and the Everglades. Florida's Paradise Coast.
Gonna get it started on this Friday. Men's pro doubles. The Johns brothers taking on Kohler and Wilson. Blood is gonna run very deep in this match. Pair of brothers on one side, cousins on the other side for a semifinal ticket and a berth in the championship. Tremendous matchup this is going to be on Zing Zang Championship Court. You see the other pairings there, McGuffin, Loon, Wright, and Newman also playing in this Final Four on the road to get here with AJ Kohler out of Las Vegas, Nevada. Just keeps on emerging on the pickleball scene, getting better and better. AJ's got a great power game, former hockey player, very tough player. And Thomas Wilson, a guy we have not seen a lot of, but again, emerging with a huge opportunity today. And on the other side, the Johns brothers, pound for pound, the best pickleball player in the world. Ben Johns, the resume just keeps on growing, already considered the greatest to ever do it. He's just 22 years old, so in essence, he is just getting started. Colin Johns along for the ride, but tell you what, Chad, he is getting better and better, and he's wanting more responsibility and more on his plate as this group continues to emerge.
Yeah, absolutely, and Colin kind of understands his role, and he actually did a post the other week where, he's the setup guy, and Ben is obviously the closer, and Colin is completely comfortable playing that role. He's got such good control, such good control, and can put the ball really wherever he wants to put it. So, this is going to be a really, really good matchup. Like we said, Kohler has the power, and it'll be interesting to see if Johns and Kohler square up against each other with the fast hands. And then Thomas and Colin are going to be those guys that are going to move that ball around, move it back and forth, and look for that ball to be explosive off of the paddle.
Yeah, just saw a great women's match too. Terashenko and Koop advancing. This crowd is on fire.
Oh yeah, they're absolutely on fire. The women kind of got them fired up for this men's match, and we might see them later here this afternoon too.
Johns and Johns ready to go.
Wilson.
And I just have to say before this gets started, it's a pleasure to be here with you two gentlemen.
2 out of 3.
You as well.
I think we're all ready.
Go. Game 1.
Wilson to put it in play. Here we go.
Side up.
Little unlucky with Wilson hitting the top of the net on that, not quite overhead, but harder hit ball. You'll notice how early these guys take the ball. They reach out, they really use the strength in their forearms and wrists.
Speed it up, and Ben does the rest.
Yeah, and I think, Chad, we'll see it all here, from power to finesse to hand battles to defense to offense. Speeding it up, slowing it down, very high level.
1-0-1.
Yeah, and that was the power that I was talking about earlier. But the really, really good thing that happened right there is Colin Johns is anticipating those speed ups as well. And he did a good job of staying in that point and starting the firefight. And again, we see Johns putting that ball away that floated up a little high off Wilson's paddle.
Ben will come across and poach, and Colin will definitely allow him to when necessary.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, he's as comfortable as they get and very confident on the court. He wants that ball. He's going to take up as much court as he possibly can.
Second serve.
A little short that time, second serve here.
Yeah, and a lot of people will notice that
302.
hole down the line behind Ben Johns and say, well, why don't you just hit it there? And we do want to hit it there, but Ben does an excellent job of controlling where that ball's going to come back, and he does that by having a little bit more of a deeper ball, penetrating ball.
Oh, crowd loving it here in Naples.
Side out.
And you know, that tweener that he did, it's hard to get a drop shot like that perfectly set up and positioned to take one, and he gets one as a tweener.
Yeah, that's an excellent shot right there, and it's just increased spin when he snaps that wrist.
Second serve.
Yeah, and that's a tough one coming right at you, going up high, just floating right over your head.
Yeah, and especially when you add spin like that, it doesn't
0,
always
3,
have to
2.
be hard. And typically, a ball coming up at the face or the chin, a player's more likely to let that go, and that's where a little bit slower pace but heavy spin brings that ball back down.
And Ben Johns recently switching from the Franklin paddle to the Yola paddle, from fiberglass chat to
3, 0,
carbon
1.
fiber. A little better grip, he feels, and perhaps even some more spin.
Yeah, and we're seeing a little bit more of an infusion of carbon fiber. There was the earlier carbon fiber from companies like ProLite,
4-0-1.
but we're seeing a lot more come into it. It's a little denser, so that's where he's getting that feel and that grip coming off of the paddle.
Johns brothers out to a
4-0-2.
4-0 lead. Hit a little bit
Side
long,
out.
and a side out to Kohler and Wilson.
And that's what Wilson and Kohler need to do
0-4-1.
right there. They're both set up, but they're making Ben Johns extend. And when you get really extended like he was there, it's
Second
hard
serve.
to have that control that's needed when you hit that heavy roll.
0-4-2. Point.
And I guess with one sailing long like that, Chad, we do have
1-4-2.
a breeze out here. I can't really tell which direction the wind is going based on the flags, but it sometimes can swirl a little bit inside this championship court.
Yeah, it's always hard to predict the wind inside here. It definitely does swirl.
Side out.
That's just too powerful. I mean, Ben's got really, really good power from a short, compact swing in front. I think the only time you're really going to see the paddle go behind his body is if he's hitting an overhead, but everything else is in front and just accelerating through the ball.
Point.
Kohler leaves it just a little bit short.
And that's what Colin does extremely well right there. He just
5-1-1.
stays calm, cool, collected, puts a ball there in the middle where there's some indecision between Wilson and Kohler as to who's going to go for it.
Second serve.
Just wide that time. Ben Johns has come out on the offensive.
5-1-2. Point.
And that's that aggressive play style from Ben
6-1-2.
Johns. He had the return was a little bit shorter sitting up, took the chance to drive it, follow hard behind it.
Just long.
Side out.
That was a better job by Wilson and Kohler, keeping Ben a little bit more honest. They dropped the ball behind him to his backhand.
1-6-1.
Ben came back cross court, but because he's moving so much there, it's harder to get the feet set to hit that roll.
There you go, Wilson.
Point.
Yeah, Wilson coming through strongly through that transition zone. Kind of sets himself and
2-6-1.
gets the put away. That
serve.
overhead really just went off speed. He's expecting it to come a lot harder.
Ben got away with one right there. We have seen it earlier this week, and I'm telling you, there's a different wind when that ball gets up higher there, where a couple of swings and misses on those overheads, and Ben almost had one there, but the increased spin off the tip of the paddle was tough.
ATP from Colin does the trick.
Six, 2, 1. Point.
Another point, 7-2. So not the start that Kohler and Wilson were looking for here.
No, and you just saw the look on Wilson's face, trying to think, well, what
Seven,
are we going to
two,
have
one.
to do to provide an answer, here, because quickly, down 2-7. And as great as these John brothers are, they know that that's already a tough deficit.
Second serve.
Yeah, it's very good hands by AJ Kohler. Again, we're talking about how strong the forearms and the wrists are of these players. AJ taking that ball early, accelerating with the spin.
Point.
Colin Johns must have had a lot of spin on that ball as it just kind of dove over the net.
Yeah, it didn't look like the ball came up much after the bounce.
Little short from Kohler, makes it 9-2. AJ upset with himself.
And that was a good ball for him to pull the trigger on and speed up. As you saw Ben Johns moving back to the middle, and Kohler tried to rush it and get that ball through the middle before Johns could get there.
There's AJ with the Ernie.
Yeah. I think that's the first one we've seen today.
Yeah, and all four of these players definitely moved well, but you see that ball floating up above the kitchen. Rather than waiting for it, Kohler jumped across the corner, which obviously is legal because the kitchen's only two-dimensional, and take that ball as it's floating over the kitchen.
Point.
Ernie like that also, Melissa, can be a match momentum changer, can it?
Oh, yeah, it sure can. You get a
3,
little
9, 1.
adrenaline push through there. It kind of feels like, yeah, hey, I can turn this game around. It's never over in pickleball, even at 3-9.
Second serve.
It also gets the crowd fired up, and when you're on a championship court like this,
3, 9,
and the crowd's going crazy, you definitely feed off of the crowd, and it can pick you up.
Point.
Another point, 9-4. Kohler and Wilson stringing a few together here, trying to get within
4-9-2.
striking range. Finally a finish.
Yeah, again, the reach of Kohler, and you can see him get extended there, and you see a cock of the wrist or a layback of the wrist, and that really loads the forearm and allows the explosion to come out when he fires that hand forward.
Side up.
Good job by Ben Johns getting it into the right hip of Wilson. You saw him
9, 5,
just
1.
trying to finesse it a little bit more, and with it getting so tight to his body, it pushed out to the right.
Point.
And now a point away from taking game one. It's been all Ben Johns here to start.
And like I said earlier, Colin Johns is the setup guy, and he set up that finish for Ben.
You know, Chad, and I think the setup guy doesn't get the credit that they deserve. I have seen so many great teams where the setup guy is the one that really is behind the success of the team.
Yeah, definitely. And Ben, sets himself up perfectly as well. But again, Colin staying in that point, Ben speeding it up, and then that quick flick up into Cola's body, and he just was too quick with the wrist, and it dropped into the net.
Game 1 in the books. Game 2 is next.